Welcome, dear listeners, to History with Herodotus, where we embark on a journey through the vast expanse of human experience, navigating the twists and turns of time and uncovering the hidden treasures of our collective past. Today, we find ourselves at the threshold of one of the most pivotal moments in human history, the origins and impact of the Renaissance. This transformative era, which blossomed in 14th century Italy and spread its petals across Europe, was a time of great upheaval and innovation as artists, thinkers, and leaders sought to revive the classical knowledge of ancient Greece and Rome, while forging new paths in science, art, and politics. In the 12th century, the Mediterranean world was a complex tapestry of cultures, with the Byzantine Empire, the Islamic caliphates, and the kingdoms of Western Europe all vying for power and influence. The Crusades, which began in the late 11th century, had created a conduit for the exchange of ideas, goods, and technologies between East and West, laying the groundwork for the cross-fertilization of cultures that would become a hallmark of the Renaissance. In Italy, the city-states of Florence, Venice, and Milan were emerging as major centers of commerce and finance, with merchants and bankers amassing great wealth and power. The rise of these urban centers created a new class of patrons who would eventually support the work of artists, writers, and thinkers, providing them with the resources they needed to pursue their creative endeavors. One of the key figures in this period was the Italian poet and scholar Dante Alighieri, who lived in the late 13th and early 14th centuries. Dante's masterpiece, The Divine Comedy, is a testament to the enduring power of classical learning as well as the emerging sense of Italian identity and culture. His work would go on to inspire generations of writers, artists, and thinkers, including the great Renaissance humanist Petrarch, who would play a crucial role in shaping the intellectual landscape of the era. As we move through the 14th century, we find Italy in the midst of a profound crisis, with the Black Death, which struck in 1348, wiping out nearly half of the population and leaving deep scars on the social, economic, and cultural fabric of the region. And yet, even as the plague ravaged the land, there were stirrings of a new spirit, a sense that the old certainties were crumbling and that a new world was waiting to be born. In this tumultuous landscape, we find figures like Giotto, the great painter from Florence, who was pushing the boundaries of artistic expression, creating works of breathtaking beauty and emotional depth. We see the emergence of a new kind of humanism, one that emphasized the potential of individual human beings to achieve greatness through education, hard work, and personal striving. As the 14th century gave way to the 15th, the Renaissance began to gain momentum, with figures like Brunelleschi and Donatello pushing the boundaries of art and architecture. In 1401, the competition for the bronze doors of the Florence Cathedral was announced, and it was this event that would launch the career of a young Lorenzo Ghiberti, who would go on to create some of the most iconic works of the Renaissance. The attention to detail and the innovative use of perspective in Ghiberti's designs would set a new standard for artistic expression, one that would be emulated by artists across Italy. Meanwhile, in the world of literature, the emergence of humanism was leading to a renewed interest in classical texts. In 1396, the Greek scholar Manuel Chrysoloras arrived in Florence, bringing with him a deep knowledge of ancient Greek language and culture. His teachings would have a profound impact on the development of humanism, inspiring figures like Leonardo Bruni and Coluccio Salutati to explore the works of Aristotle, Plato, and other classical authors. As Salutati wrote, "The study of literature is the instrument of all knowledge and the key to the secrets of nature." The year 1407 marked a significant turning point in the Renaissance, as the Council of Constance brought together church leaders from across Europe to address the crisis of the papal schism. Although the council ultimately failed to resolve the issue, it did provide a platform for humanist thinkers like Poggio Bracciolini to advocate for reform and renewal within the church. Bracciolini's own writings, particularly his treatise on the misery of human life, would go on to influence a generation of thinkers, including the great Renaissance philosopher Marsilio Ficino. In the 1420s, the Medici family began to rise to prominence in Florence, with Cosimo de' Medici emerging as a powerful patron of the arts. His support for artists like Fra Angelico and Michelangelo would help to establish Florence as a hub of creative innovation, attracting talent from across Italy. As the artist Benozzo Gozzoli would later recall, the Medici were like a sun, shining brightly over the city, illuminating all that was good and beautiful. As the Renaissance continued to unfold, the boundaries between art, science, and philosophy began to blur. In 1439, the Byzantine Emperor John VIII Palaeologus arrived in Florence, seeking support for a crusade against the Ottoman Empire. Although the crusade ultimately failed, the encounter between Eastern and Western scholars would have a profound impact on the development of Renaissance thought. The Greek scholar Gemistus Pletho, who accompanied the emperor to Florence, would introduce Italian thinkers to the works of Plato, sparking a renewed interest in Neoplatonism. The 1450s saw the emergence of a new generation of artists, including Andrea Mantegna and Piero della Francesca. Their innovative use of perspective and their attention to detail would raise the bar for artistic expression, inspiring a new wave of creativity across Italy. As the art historian Giorgio Vasari would later write, the artists of this period were like a swarm of bees, each one contributing to the creation of a masterpiece, each one building upon the discoveries of those who came before. In 1452, the fall of Constantinople to the Ottoman Empire sent shockwaves throughout Europe, leading to a renewed interest in classical learning and a desire to preserve the cultural heritage of ancient Greece and Rome. The Renaissance humanist Aeneas Sylvius Piccolomini would later reflect on the significance of this event, writing, "The fall of Constantinople was like a wake-up call, reminding us of the fragility of human civilization and the importance of preserving our cultural inheritance." As the 15th century drew to a close, the Renaissance had firmly taken hold across Italy, with its influence beginning to spread to other parts of Europe. The fall of Constantinople in 1452 had sparked a renewed interest in classical learning, and scholars such as Lorenzo Valla and Marsilio Ficino were at the forefront of this movement, seeking to revive the knowledge and wisdom of ancient Greece and Rome. This resurgence of classical learning would have a profound impact on Western thought, shaping the course of art, literature, science, and philosophy for centuries to come. One of the key figures of this period was Leonardo da Vinci, whose innovative and eclectic approach to art, science, and engineering embodied the Renaissance humanist ideals. Da Vinci's famous drawing, The Vitruvian Man, created in 1490, perfectly encapsulates the Renaissance fascination with proportion, geometry, and the interconnectedness of all things. As he himself noted, the noblest pleasure is the joy of understanding, a sentiment that would become a hallmark of the Renaissance spirit. As the Renaissance continued to evolve, it gave rise to some of the most iconic figures in Western cultural history, including Michelangelo, Raphael, and Galileo Galilei. The latter's groundbreaking work in astronomy, particularly his observation of the heavens using the newly invented telescope, would challenge traditional views of the universe and pave the way for the scientific revolution of the 16th century. The Renaissance also had a profound impact on literature, with writers such as Petrarch, Boccaccio, and Ariosto creating works that were both deeply rooted in classical tradition and innovative in their use of language and form. The spread of printing, which had begun in the mid-15th century, allowed these works to reach a wider audience, contributing to a rapid dissemination of ideas and cultural values across Europe. The Renaissance emphasis on humanism, individualism, and intellectual curiosity helped to create a culture that valued knowledge, creativity, and critical thinking, and its legacy can be seen in everything from the art of Michelangelo to the science of Galileo, in the words of historian Jacob Burckhardt. The Renaissance was a time when the world was rediscovered and humanity was reborn, a sentiment that captures the sense of excitement, curiosity, and transformation that defined this period. The origins and impact of the Renaissance may have concluded centuries ago, but its influence can still be felt today, shaping our understanding of the world and our place within it. That's all for today's History with Herodotus. Remember to like, share, and subscribe, and until next time, remember that, to understand the present, we must first understand the past.